The faintest streaks of light caressed the horizon, slipping gently through the wide expanse of our sky-high apartment's panoramic windows. Below us, the vast metropolis lay hushed, cloaked in the soft haze of early morning. A lone foghorn echoed from the distant harbor, its low, mournful call drifting across the silence, reverberating through the stillness of dawn. It was the heart of summer break, a rare lull when the city's usual frantic pace relaxed into something quieter, slower, like a giant beast lulled into slumber. Still tangled in the remnants of sleep, I shuffled across the smooth, cool tiles of the living room floor, the scent of freshly ground coffee beckoning me toward the kitchen. There, framed in the soft morning light, Bianca sat perched on one of the high stools at the kitchen island. She offered a small, hesitant smile, one that had, in recent weeks, gained a strange and unsettling power over me. It stirred something I couldn't name, and didn't want to. I met her smile with a nod, masking the warmth it provoked with deliberately neutral tone. "Morning," I said quietly, focusing on the coffee maker. The machine hissed and steamed, filling the room with the comforting sounds and smells of brewing espresso. I kept my eyes trained on the stainless steel spout, resisting the magnetic pull of her presence across the room. She wore a lace top, sheer and fragile, with tiny floral patterns that played against the morning light, and a pair of faded denim shorts that left little to the imagination. She picked at a small bowl of mango slices, her fingers moving with deliberate delicacy, pausing now and then to sip from a tall glass of chilled water. The sight was almost too much, too intimate, too careless. "Isn't that a little thin for just being at home?" I asked, the words clumsy on my tongue. I wasn't sure what I was accusing, only that I needed to say something. Bianca tilted her head, her wide hazel eyes shimmering with mock innocence. "It's fine, Daddy," she replied, her voice light, teasing. "Yes, but thin," revealing. I clarified, though the word felt alien and inappropriate, like it didn't belong in the air between us. "But it's summer," she said, shrugging one shoulder. "It gets hot up here, and I'm not going anywhere today. I'm just staying in." That simple answer trapped me. What could I say to that? She had every right, yet the unease wouldn't leave me. What if you forget you're wearing it and walk out onto the balcony like that? I offered weakly. "I wouldn't wear this to the grocery store," Bianca answered, watching me closely now. There was a flicker in her eyes, a glint of something unspoken. "But what about last weekend? At the beach house, I wore my bathing suit all day. Everyone does that." "That's different," I snapped. "You don't wear swimwear to meetings or to college lectures." Bianca gave a small, thoughtful smile. "Actually, when you think about it, the rules are kind of random, aren't they? Like, it's okay to wear almost nothing at the beach, but if you walk just a few steps inland, suddenly it's scandalous. Some people manage it," I replied, shrugging, trying to appear casual, but my heart beat faster. "Daddy," she said, softly now, her voice shedding the playfulness from earlier. Her gaze was steady, no longer teasing. "I'm your daughter." The word struck me like a slap, jarring me back toward reality. But my thoughts, dark, confused, shameful, screamed louder than her voice. Basic urges don't recognize family lines. The idea exploded in my head. I felt sick. Aloud, I only managed, "Were you implying?" Her expression shifted, a flicker of uncertainty now crossing her face. She'd sensed a change in me, the crack in the dam. I squeezed my eyes shut. "Bianca, let's not analyze this. Just put something else on. Please." Her arms folded across her chest, and her lower lip jutted out ever so slightly. "I don't want to," she said quietly. "I won't." The simplicity of her refusal sent a wave of panic through me. It wasn't just about what she wore. It hadn't been for some time. The boundaries between us were fraying, slowly, dangerously. "Stop thinking like this." I scolded myself. "Stop." The coffee had cooled, but I drank it anyway, grasping at the bitterness for grounding. Still, my gaze drifted, betraying me back to her. She had finished her fruit and was watching me now, not with playfulness or defiance, but curiosity. Like she was studying a puzzle she almost understood. How could I even entertain such thoughts? I needed a distraction. Anything. Work. But what work? Since acquiring that remote server hub in Switzerland last month, our finances had stabilized effortlessly. Money came in now like the tide, steady, unending. There wasn't much to do. Maybe a swim. The rooftop infinity pool shimmer in the early light. Just one flight up. The water would be cold. Shocking. Just what I needed. A reset. But before I could act, Bianca slid off the stool and approached. Her steps were slow, deliberate. She stopped only inches from me, her voice low. "Daddy, you don't really mean that," she whispered. Her earlier stubbornness had melted away. "No, Bianca," I said quickly, stepping back. "Whatever you're trying now, stop. We agreed. This is to stop." She flinched slightly. Her eyes, suddenly vulnerable, searched mine. Her ability to shift moods had become uncanny. Something she learned since Vivian, my wife, had left us. It had all started then. The divorce, the distance, the strange closeness that grew between Bianca and me in the echo of absence. Vivian had insisted Bianca could handle it. She was an adult now. She described me as dull, too cautious, uninspired. The apartment, she claimed, stifled her creative soul. Gregory, my old colleague, had a larger home. No children, no expectations, no limits. And so she left, leaving behind something far more dangerous than anyone could have foreseen. Our life had never been the sweeping, passionate romance Vivian had envisioned when we married 2 decades earlier. She had once wielded charm with effortless precision, able to disarm anyone with a glance, a phrase, a tilt of her head. But over the years, that charm curdled into something far more dangerous. Sharp, manipulative, and coldly strategic. When she finally left, it wasn't with the fiery dramatics of a wounded lover, but with the calculated silence of someone closing a book they had grown bored of. Her absence didn't ignite jealousy or heartbreak in me. Only a low, persistent ache, like a wound that refused to close properly. My concern didn't center on the marriage. It centered on Bianca. She was the one shattered, left adrift by her mother's sudden and absolute vanishing. Vivian hadn't just walked out. She severed every line of communication, ignoring Bianca's calls, mine too, as though we no longer existed in her version of the world. It was just a few days after Vivian's disappearance when Bianca, trembling and tear-streaked, appeared in my doorway in the middle of the night. Her voice was barely a whisper as she asked if she could sleep in my room. I couldn't say no. No father could, not with a daughter so visibly broken, so lost. Though legally an adult, Bianca still possessed a softness, an unguarded innocence that life had yet to strip from her. She was never one for large groups or casual friendships. Dating had been something distant and abstract to her, more of an idea than a pursuit. Her beauty was quiet, unassuming, delicate features, long lashes over expressive hazel eyes, framed by waves of dark hair. But what truly defined her was a certain vulnerability, a quiet, melancholic sweetness that seemed to deepen in her mother's absence. That night, as we lay in the dark, her breath catching in silent sobs against my shoulder, I held her gently, protectively. I thought only of her pain, of how alone she must have felt. But in the morning, I awoke to a strange and disquieting warmth, an unfamiliar awareness that disturbed me deeply. Something had shifted. The boundary of comfort, of closeness, had been blurred by raw emotion and vulnerability. I recoiled inwardly, horrified by what I sensed stirring beneath the surface. I tried to explain it away, to draw lines in the sand. I clung to ethics, to science, to warnings of psychological damage, of a ruined future. I spoke of consequences, of morality. But Bianca listened quietly, then answered with surprising fluency of her own. She quoted terms, referenced case studies, revealing an unexpected fascination with psychology. Her arguments were calm, intelligent, but beneath them lay something tender and painful, a desire not just to understand, but to be understood. Her voice would tremble at times, her eyes glassy with held-back tears. When she looked at me like that, something inside me broke, over and over again. We began to talk endlessly, late into the nights, circling the topic like dancers too afraid to touch. Every conversation walked a tightrope between guilt and longing, fear, and tenderness. There were moments when we imagined another life, walks beneath foreign stars, dinners by candlelight, the illusion of normalcy, a relationship disguised in the trappings of the ordinary. But no matter how beautiful the fantasy, we could never stay in it long. The truth always pulled us back. I was her father. That single fact drowned every wish we dared to form. My birthday came and went in silence that year. Bianca didn't mention it, but I knew she hadn't forgotten. She had become acutely aware of my inner conflict. She sensed the storm inside me, understood that I clung to my last thread of paternal responsibility. She also knew that if I truly upheld that role, this closeness, this impossible, aching bond, would have to end. She never pushed. But once, only half joking, she suggested we run away. Find a place where no one cared about bloodlines, where love wasn't measured by rules made long before we were born. I had laughed it off, lightly, trying to mask the way the idea took root inside me. Fate, or perhaps coincidence, delivered something shortly after. I stumbled across an article detailing Switzerland's cutting-edge use of alpine cooling systems to power low-cost, high-density data processing. The technology was revolutionary, the kind of obscure niche that promised major returns if timed right. I dug deeper. The numbers checked out. The opportunity was real. The idea came fast and clear. Liquidate our modest savings. Invest in a remote server facility in the Alps. I was exhausted by my dull middle management job, uninspired and drained. More than anything, I wanted to be free, to be with Bianca, fully present, without the distractions and constraint of life I no longer believed in. As fortune would have it, a dip in the tech market created an opening. I made the deal remotely, finalizing the purchase while prices were low. Within days, the market corrected itself, and suddenly, our investment surged in value. I watched, stunned, as our dedicated account began to swell with incomprehensible numbers. The world had taken notice of Switzerland's energy-efficient innovation, and the demand soared. I handed in my resignation a month later. With our new wealth, we left behind the shadows of our old life and moved into this expansive penthouse. Its rooftop pool stretched out toward the horizon, its glass walls wrapped around us like a secret. The city buzzed far below, oblivious of the story unfolding in the sky above. Here, behind these high walls and panoramic views, Bianca and I began again, a strange new chapter written in silence and understanding. The guilt remained, of course. The shame never truly left, but it grew quieter like background noise. What endured louder, stronger, was our bond, unspoken, forbidden, and absolute.